Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Off the Shelf. I'm your host, Runtime HD, and this time what we found off the shelf was...
I'm gonna make a movie!
What's the movie gonna be about?
It's about him working here.
Snifty Booches! Please tell me why.
I believe in you.
You put in that stuff you used to say about the Death Star contractors.
Get sued by Disney? No way. Take off your pants.
What the hell is this?
I added a scene where you get shot.
I'm not letting you kill me off in the third act. What if there's a sequel?
A sequel? What am I, a hack?
Clerks 3, the newest installment in the Askew-universe, written and directed by Kevin Smith, starring Jeff Anderson and Brian O'Halloran. This film is, the final installment in the Clerks series, I'm assuming. And by the way, I'm going to get into spoilers in this review, so if you want to watch the film and you want to see the story for yourself, go watch it and then come back. But, the reason I believe that this film will be the last in the Clerks series is because, well, Dante fucking dies. So, you can't have a Clerks film without Dante and Randall bouncing off each other. And it wouldn't be the same without Dante and Randall's dynamic. And Randall kind of goes through an arc in this movie, I believe, where he's not, like, an asshole anymore. Like, I think he learns the errors of ways. Maybe I'm just overthinking things, but I don't think I am. I feel like he learns to be a better person, which I think is good. He has a near-death experience, and he wants to make a movie, but he's still being kind of selfish about it. And then Dante dies after Randall kind of breaks him, kind of. And also, by the way, what was her name? I can't remember what her name was in the last movie, but Dante's wife, not his ex-wife, who's Kevin Smith's wife, but Dante's wife and love interest in Clerks 2, dies off-screen and before the movie even starts. So that, I genuinely didn't expect that that was in the first, 5 minutes of the movie. We had to pause the movie, and we were like, what? What, she's dead? What? We genuinely didn't see that coming, and it was a pretty big shocker. But yeah. So, yeah, Dante is going through a lot of shit. His life sucks. Like, when does it not suck? It's Dante's life. But, yeah, it's a very emotional ride all the way through. And the reason I do not think this is the last installment in the Askew-universe, because they've already announced Mallrats 2. So this is definitely, I think, a send-off to Dante and Randall's story, though. I feel like we're done with Dante and Randall, and we're just going to go on with Jay and Silent Bob from now on. Which, when I think about it, it kind of sucks. I mean, I like Jay and Silent Bob, who doesn't? But I think there was something special with Dante and Randall. They were probably my favorite duo. They were the preferred duo in the series, and it's sad to see them go. I'm definitely gonna miss them. I don't know. I just think it's gonna be sad not having them in the Askew-universe anymore. But anyway, I also think I don't cry to movies very much, but I definitely got very emotional at the end of this film. Very emotional. It was a very sad moment, because I'd watched basically everything these characters were in, and I'd grown to love them. And it was, I don't think this is probably, I'm not saying it's bad, but it's probably the least, the worst one. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's the worst one in the trilogy. Not saying it's bad, it's just not as good as Clerks 1 and 2. But I think the emotional moments really are the best in the Clerks trilogy, because Clerks 1 didn't really have any emotional moments at all. And Clerks 2, I did like the emotional moments in Clerks 2, but Clerks 3 really... Also, I like how it went full circle in Clerks 3. And I just think it was nice to see Dante and Randall for one last ride. And, yeah, I enjoyed this film. I did enjoy it. I don't think it was as funny as the first two Clerks movies, which I don't know, that might be a problem because it is like a comedy film, so you gotta have good comedy. I mean, there were some parts where I laughed here and there, but not nearly as much as Clerks 1 or 2. I think personally, in my opinion, Clerks 1 is the funniest one. And I also like how they reference the original ending to Clerks 1 in this movie because actually, as I said, Randall's making a movie, and the movie is just Clerks 1. So, so it's like super meta where Clerks 1 happened, then Clerks 2 happens, and then in Clerks 3, they're like, hey, let's make Clerks, but it's like it's weird, not weird, but it's like meta, and they're making the movie within the movie that's actually a sequel to the movie that they're making. You know what I mean? It's got layers. It's like an ogre. But I did think it was good, though. I'm not trying to rag on it. But I do feel like this film was more depressing, because, you know, it just shows that Dante and Randall are getting old. And there's always like a movie in a franchise like that, like a big franchise where it shows the main character getting old, and they're always super depressing because they're like washed up and they're not as good as they used to be, or they're depressed, except for like Dante and Randall are always depressed. So it doesn't really surprise me that they're still depressed. Brian O'Halloran is actually he's a much better actor than I thought he was. I mean, yeah, he's a good actor, but he's like actually good at doing emotional scenes. Like, it felt like, I don't know, he was just good at it. I didn't expect him to be as good as an actor as he was, because I just haven't seen him in many other things. So he was good, and obviously Randall is always a highlight. Randall's like the best character in the entire universe. He's like the best one, because he's really funny. And, yeah, obviously that's a highlight. I also think that, what's another thing? I think I like the ending, too. I like the ending because, as I said, it wraps it up good, wraps it in a nice bow. And, I think that, I think if you're, like, a fan of the Clerks films, if you've watched the first two, I think to really get something out of this film, you have to have watched the first two. Like, you can't just skip 1 and 2 and then go into this one, because the film kind of banks on you being a fan of the first two. If you're not a fan of Clerks 1 and 2, then you will probably get nothing out of this movie. Like, there's so many callbacks and references to 1 and 2. They're literally making Clerks 1 in this movie. So if you're not a fan of either Clerks 1 or 2, you will probably hate this movie. So, I recommend it to any Kevin Smith fans, Clerks fans. If you're a fan of, like, black comedies, would recommend this. Or, like, just comedies in general. But, yeah, would recommend for comedy fans, Kevin Smith fans, stuff like that. And, I think I'd rate this film maybe a 7. I know I give everything a 7, but I think that's a decent enough, thing for it. And, yeah. I think I've said all I need to say. I think I've said my piece. So, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you like it. Subscribe, turn notifications on, share with your friends, comment down below on how much you liked it. And, I've been running Team HD. Signing off.
I think it needs more weed.